Welcome to Extension Connection on Super Talk 1270. Thoughtful information and discussion with experts from both Burleigh and Morton County Extension Service offices. Extension Connection provides advice on family nutrition, issues in agriculture, lawn and garden, community leadership, flood recovery, homeowner concerns, and so much more. Live from the Super Talk 1270 News Studio, this is Extension Connection.
Good morning and welcome to the Extension Connection. We have the Morton County Extension staff here today, and we have Carla Mickle, Vanessa Hoynes, and yours truly, Jackie Buckley. And we are celebrating this week, Carla.
Yes, we are. Very exciting. It's National 4-H Week. It started on Sunday and runs through Saturday. And today is also a very special day. It's National Youth Science Day. So very busy week in the world of 4-H.
Yes, and we're going somewhere today.
We are. We're going to Roosevelt Elementary School, and we're doing the National Youth Science Day project, which is Rockets to the Rescue, and the kids will get to build rockets, and then it's a nice day out and hardly any wind. We're going to go out and launch our rockets today, too.
Oh, that sounds like fun. I can't wait.
Yes, it'll be very exciting.
And so you're going to talk primarily about 4-H, correct?
Yes, I've got 4-H trivia, I have 4-H facts, and all kinds of great things about 4-H and a little bit of history.
And maybe some 4-H prizes?
Yeah, maybe someone would like to call in and tell maybe their favorite 4-H story or their club that they were in when they were younger. And if they'd like to share, I might have a 4-H prize here in the studio.
Okay, and we are live in the studio today, and if you'd like to call in, our number is 663-1270, so please feel free to call if you want to win a 4-H prize, and we'll be asking some questions in a little bit here. Vanessa, how about you? What are you going to talk about?
I have some upcoming programs, and then thinking about the cool weather, I was thinking it'd be a good opportunity to talk about using your slow cooker, and perhaps some wild game tips and maybe some tips about using your microwave.
Okay. All right. That sounds great. I'll start things off with I'd like to remind agricultural producers that they are invited to attend important Farm Bill meetings. And actually, they have started this week. And so today, the group of guys are in Minot at the Research Extension Center this afternoon from 1 to 3 at the North Central Research Extension Center, and that starts from 1 to 3, and that's today, October 8th. Tomorrow, they will be in Williston from 8 to 10 a.m. at the Williston Research Extension Center. And then in the afternoon, they will be in Dickinson at Dickinson State University, and that'll be at their ag building. Next week, Wednesday, the specialists will be here in Bismarck to visit with producers from the Bismarck-Mandan area and other outlying areas. And they will be at the Ramada Inn from 8 to 10 a.m. on October 15th. That's Wednesday. And then in the afternoon, they will be going to Jamestown, and they'll be at the Farmers Union Conference Room in Jamestown. The 16th, they'll be in Lisbon from 8 to 10 a.m. And then finally on Friday from 8 to 10 a.m., they'll be at the Ramada Plaza Suites and Conference Center in Fargo. And so the Farm Bill authorizes 3 program elections, PLC, ARC, and ARC individual. Producers must make a one-time decision to retain or reallocate their crop bases, to retain or update program payment yields, and select the type of coverage, price protection, county revenue protection, and or individual revenue protection for the 2014 to 2018 crop years. And that's coincides with the way the Farm Bill works. These informational meetings will be held to explain program election, base allocation, and yield update process. And we also have the information here in the Morton County office. And then also there is a Excel spreadsheet that producers can download to input their information as well. And Linda Erlacher and myself will be having Morton County producer meetings probably in the November, December timeframe. Because I know that everybody's still busy out there harvesting and you want to finish that up first. And so we will be having some producer meetings for local producers as well. And so please be watching my news column, our Facebook page, our web page as to when those are going to happen. And so just as a reminder, hours for this area is in Bismarck next week, Wednesday, October 15th at 8 o'clock in the morning. And I know for you guys, if you got chores to do, that's early. Believe me, I didn't set the date and the time. Because I pretty much know better that 8 o'clock in the morning for most people might be a little bit hard for them to get here.
So don't shoot the messenger.
Yes, don't shoot the messenger. Yes. And so I'm sure that Andy Spenson and Dwight Ockery will be here along with several FSA staff to work with producers on that and come to that informational meeting. Another thing that I have that I saw recently in some research work that I was looking at is that there was a research project done about the disappearance of net wrap or twine in cattle if you're grinding it up in your hay bales, if you're using a hay grinder, or if you just feed the bales out on the pasture or wherever you're feeding them and leaving the twine or the net wrap out there for the cattle to chew on and to eat. And they did a experiment with 5 types of bale binding material, and our hay control, of course, were evaluated. They did grass hay, sisal twine, biodegradable twine, net wrap 1, 2, and 3. And they each of the binding materials were cut into 2 millimeter pieces, and 2 grams of each sample was placed in duplicate Dacron bags, and the hay was ground in a mill to have the same size pieces as the net wrap. And the hay was used for control samples was a brome grass with a nutrient profile of 16.2%. The bags were pre-soaked in water and placed in duplicate into the rumen of each of 2 forage-fed Holstein steers. And so they put it in the rumen, and then after they were in there for 14 days, the bags were removed from the rumen and rinsed with tap water to remove all large particle matter. Bags were then rinsed in a top-loading washing machine on the delicate cycle.
Oh, my!
To determine how much was left. And so the results were, after 14 days of incubation in the rumen of forage-fed steers, none of the 3 types of net wrap evaluated or the biodegradable twine samples disappeared from the bags. And so what they're saying is that the steer is not going to digest that net wrap or the biodegradable twine. As expected, a large proportion of the hay sample, more than 80%, disappeared, and more than 70% of the sisal twine evaluated disappeared. So sisal twine is a kind of the rope twine that we normally are used to seeing, and that disappeared after the 14-day period. Cattle-fed forage that was processed without removal of the types of net wrap or biodegradable twine tested in the current experiment have the potential to retain consume net wrap for more than 14 days after feeding. Because none of the plastic products disappeared during our study interval, the potential exists for these products to build up in the rumen through time, possibly lead to associated complications. Whether complications occur as net wrap or something else, some health-related issues to the animals, we need to be aware of that. And so I guess it's up to the producers if they want to remove it, but it's probably a pretty good idea that you do. We're getting the cue from Jim that we need to go to the break, and we'll be back after the break, and we'll probably have a 4-H trivia question after the break.
Right now it's 43.
Get the app called Radio Pup for your iPhone and take us everywhere you go. Bismarck and Mandan's own Super Talk 1270.
We are back with the Extension Connection, and Carla has a 4-H trivia question to ask, and we have prizes here in the studio. Call 663-1270.
Okay, ready?
You ready?
What famous businessman started selling fertilizer but realized his calling in the popcorn franchise credits his success to his experience in 4-H?
Okay, we'll go on and see if we get any callers to answers to our
I know
question.
who it is.
Yeah.
Well, Jim, you heard us say it.
I'll write down the initials.
Okay.
Tell me if I'm right.
I probably have a prize for you later, too. So.
Okay. Are those the initials?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
right.
Jim's got it. Okay. But yeah, we'll save that one. And if anyone calls in with the answer, I have a couple 4-H prizes here. So.
And folks could still call in with their favorite 4-H story.
Oh,
right?
absolutely. That would be very fun. So, but this week is National 4-H Week, and we had the privilege last week to sit in on a guest speaker that was telling a little bit about 4-H from Tufts University, and it was Dr. Lerner, and he had a lot of really interesting information about 4-H and the benefits of 4-H to youth, and I brought those to share today as we're celebrating 4-H week. But Dr. Lerner's study showed that 4-H members are nearly 4 times more likely to make contributions to their communities. So go out in the community service and giving back through leadership roles. And they're 2 times more likely to be civically active. So perhaps in the future, they look to a career in politics or to serve their community. Academically, 4-H young people are nearly 2 times more likely to participate in science, engineering, and computer technology programs during out-of-school time. 4-H girls are 2 times more likely and nearly 3 times more likely to take part in science programs compared to girls in other out-of-school time activities. The data found in science, engineering, and computer technology section of the report that Dr. Lerner put together. And then healthy living, 4-Hers are nearly 2 times more likely to make healthier choices. So a lot of different things that Dr. Lerner's study has shown that 4-H really benefits youth, gives them an opportunity to serve in those leadership roles and also become contributing members to their society. So I'm just really neat. I was very interested in everything he shared last week, and I wish we could have had more time with him. So
I was not surprised. I was surprised that the comment he made about that girls are more active than boys, which we kind of know that.
Yeah.
But I didn't think it was by that big of a margin, or how girls that their positive youth development experiences in 4-H are probably higher than those of boys.
Yeah.
And he says, I wonder what you guys are doing to those girls to make sure.
Well, I think it's probably just that girls are just that much more advanced to begin with.
Oh, we're going to get in trouble. We're going to get in trouble.
Jim is smiling anyway.
No, you're right. You're right.
But another thing that Dr. Lerner said, and I guess it really hit home for me, is those opportunities that youth have to work with a caring adult other than a family member. And, you know, the role that we all play in the 4-Hers' lives in our county, and not only our county, but other counties as well, just really, it hit home with me, because it gives an opportunity for that youth to depend on an adult, to visit with another adult, and to be encouraged by another adult other than mom or dad or grandma and grandpa. And so I thought that was pretty interesting as far as his take on that as well. So.
And it reminds leaders how important a role that they play to be that additional adult, the caring adult in a youth's life.
Yep, absolutely. So,
you know, and I was at Al Ulmer's retirement party, and Mrs. Lallam got up and she talked about Mrs. I can't remember her name now. Anyway, she talked about how important that 4-H was, and that Al was a big part of that. And her 2 girls are now big into marketing. One works overseas, and one works in like New York or Washington, D.C., and she credits 4-H to their success. And so I think that's really cool that she got up and talked about how important 4-H was to her girls and what they've become because of it.
Yeah. That's neat. You know, a couple years ago, I had the opportunity to attend Citizenship Washington Focus with a group of North Dakotan youth. And we were visiting, of course, with, at the time, Representative Rick Berg. And he had said that he wouldn't be where he is without his opportunities in 4-H. I know, Vanessa, you were in 4-H with Rick when he was, when you were
we were in state 4-H ambassadors together.
Yeah. So for, you know, legislators and community leaders, and even, you know, sports and entertainment individuals to say, you know, that they got their start in 4-H and the contributions that it made to their lives, you know, and now they're giving back to others. I think that's a really neat story. So,
well, and I think you can pick out 4-H members when you go to community meetings where, you know, whether it's parent-teacher groups or other advisory groups, you can find those who know how to run a meeting.
Yep.
There are lots of adults who just never had that opportunity, and when it comes to knowing how to do simple parliamentary procedure, it's very difficult. And we have young people who are in their clubs doing this every month.
Yeah. So, and then, you know, speaking of young kids and in their communities and having meetings. We had a brand new 4-H club meeting last night. I was going to mention as well, starting a club in Glen Ellen. There was 11 new faces to the 4-H world here in Morton County, and so very excited for that community to start developing their leaders and, of course, giving back to their community as well. So.
That's really cool because we haven't had a club in Glen Ellen for a long, long time.
Yeah.
I think it's back in the Elvira Thiel years.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because Vanessa and I know Elvira, but it's been a long time.
Yeah,
A long time coming.
We were visiting last night, Jim Seiler and I, and he was telling me of that Curlew 22 and Calico Kids, which Calico Kids is in the Elmont area, and Curlew 22, which I didn't realize was actually named because of the road between Elmont and Glen Ellen.
Yes.
And so that was very interesting, and we're are two of the oldest clubs in the county, and so that was interesting too, all because of Elvira Thiel.
Yep.
So, yep. So,
All that fun history. We still don't have anybody
No.
that's called in on. It's not very hard.
Still no correct answer.
Yeah.
No.
See, if you eat popcorn, chances are you know this guy's name.
yeah. He's no longer with us, unfortunately. He did pass away a few years ago. So,
But his family's still carrying on his company.
absolutely, you still see it. So,
And it's still popping. And actually, this is National Popcorn Month also.
oh, it really is.
It is.
Wow, all kinds of stuff going on. So, well, I have a couple other questions, and I can throw those at you just so people kind of understand a little bit about 4-H. And I gave you the answers at break, but let's see here. 4-H members, when the 4-H fourth leaf and H were added in 1911, because 4-H has been around since 1902. Do you know what the fourth H stand for?
The 4 H's?
Yep.
I do.
Okay, but in 1911.
Oh, in 1911.
Jim wasn't here then.
No, that's true. Okay. Okay, well, the answer is hustle. The fourth leaf was added as hustle. And so it was head, heart, hands, and hustle, and later changed to health.
Well, and hustle and health are really closely related.
There you go.
Because you got to hustle in order to be healthy.
Healthy, exactly. So, and Jackie visited this place, so this here will be an easy one. But in what state did 4-H originate in?
It's in Iowa, and actually it's in Clarion, Iowa, where my son lived for 3 years, and I've been there where the schoolhouse is, and it's pretty cool.
Very neat. So, let's see here. Here was a very interesting one. What hour-long family television show had the 4-H symbol on the side of the barn? I gave you this one, too.
It's an older show,
Yep.
hour long,
Yep.
and it's still on reruns on many channels. Inspirational. I don't know what other channel. It's probably on MeTV, probably.
Yep.
It's a big, large family,
Yep.
and the show's all about them.
Oh,
So if you're making some guesses.
yep. Can give it to you. It's the Waltons. And what country music star played by Joaquin Phoenix in Walk the Line was a 4-H member as a boy? You guys knew this one, too?
Yep. Johnny Cash.
There you go. Oh, all kinds of interesting ones. I know a few years ago at a national conference, Nancy Grace was at a national conference, a famous 4-H judge, or not 4-H judge, excuse me, but a famous judge that was a 4-H alumni. So all kinds of interesting facts. I had a blast looking up this trivia. It was really fun. So.
And you have some names of people that actually were in 4-H, some famous people, Carla, right?
I do. Some good stuff. Walter Mondale, former Vice President of the United States. Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis, of course, the former First Lady. Jimmy Carter. Rosalind Carter was in 4-H. Nathan Deal, he's governor of Georgia. David Leonardman, oh yeah, the funny guy. He was in 4-H as a youngster.
Indiana. Woo! Love Indiana.
Yeah.
I've been there.
Quite a few country artists are former 4-H alumni. We've got Reba McEntire, Dolly Parton, Faith Hill, Luke Bryan, Trisha Yearwood, Jennifer Nettles from Sugarland, and country music legend Roy Rogers. Gotta love that guy. So,
Yeehaw!
and Julia Roberts, the actress, Johnny Carson from Nebraska, famous comedian, and Randy Owens from the group Alabama, who I know is a big youth supporter and 4-H
Yes,
supporter
and
as
his
well.
kids were also in 4-H
Yep.
and showed very actively in the Hereford breed.
Yep.
I know that.
Yep.
Randa is his daughter, and she showed Hereford cattle all over the United States and
Yeah.
was in 4-H. I don't know if she was in FFA, but I know she was in 4-H.
4-H. And I know that when Alabama used to come up to North Dakota State Fair, you would frequently see Randy walking through the beef barns and checking out all the livestock. So very
Yep.
interesting.
Him and Teddy Gentry both would come and watch the cattle shows.
Very
You know,
cool.
it was really cool to see
Yeah.
him walking around just
Very neat.
like normal people,
Yeah.
which they are.
And people didn't bother him or
No.
just, yeah. So a couple more I have is Reggie White, NFL football player. Ned Jarrett, racing announcer. Dan Reeves, oh my goodness, what am I thinking? Broncos, hello, Denver Broncos, NFL football coach. And Herschel Walker from the Dallas Cowboys. And then I would give you the next one, but it's the answer to the trivia. And then,
Well, give the question again.
Okay.
Our folks are just now tuning in.
Okay, got it. If you just turn on your radio dial. What famous businessman started selling fertilizer but realized his calling in the popcorn franchise, credits his success to his experience in 4-H as a youngster?
Can I give a clue?
Yes, you can.
He's from Valparaiso, Indiana.
Oh.
Oh, I didn't know he was from
Yes,
Indiana.
from Indiana. He's
Okay.
a teacher.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Okay, call 663-1270 if you have the answer.
Yep. And with that, we'll go to a break, and we'll come back with a little bit of 4-H stuff, and back to Vanessa after that.
Your news leader, weeknights at 6 and 10. Super Talk 1270.
Okay, we have a caller on the line, and Carla?
You have an answer to the trivia question?
Is it Orville Redenbacher?
You bet. Yay! Yes, and your name is?
Kathy?
Kathy.
And were you a 4-H'er, Kathy?
Actually, my kids were and my husband were.
Oh, good.
Well, that counts because, believe me, moms are involved.
I'm a leader, so does that count?
Yes, absolutely. A leader absolutely does count. So,
Okay.
well, I have a 4-H prize for you. Are you close to the studio? You can come and pick it up?
Sure.
Okay, I will leave it here at the front desk for you, okay?
Okay.
Okay, thanks, Kathy.
Yep, you're welcome.
Bye-bye.
Okay, Carla, we'll kick it back to you. Thank you to our caller, Kathy, for getting the one trivia question correct. Carla, do you have any more?
Yeah, maybe we should put another one out there. We have
Yes.
such smart listeners.
do.
Yes.
Let's see. Did I give the year that 4-H was founded?
Yes, you did.
Yes, you did.
Oh,
you gave that
bummer.
away, Carla.
Okay. Oh, here's a good one. What comic strip author was a 4-H member? And I'll give you a hint. His famous character in his comic strip is an animal.
That's a good one.
Is that good?
That's
Okay.
good.
That's a good one.
All right.
Okay.
Yes.
There you
Okay,
go.
so call in 663-1270 for your prize.
And he is also from Indiana.
Really? You looked that up too? Oh, Jim's on the ball today. It's awesome. So, well, I have one more thing about National 4-H Week, and this is actually a story that was written by Amanda Radke, and she's celebrating National 4-H Week by telling a little bit about her story and her family story in 4-H. And Jackie gave this to me this morning. It was really, really neat. National 4-H Week is on right now through October 11th. The annual week-long event celebrates the accomplishments of the youth involved in this program. It also helps raise awareness about the positive impact that 4-H has on our future leaders in agriculture. This is my youngest sister, Kaylee's final year in 4-H, and my family is already counting down until my daughter, Scarlett, now just 4 months old, will be big enough to start showing heifers and steers in 4-H. Yes, I know it's 8 years away, but 4-H runs in our blood, and we are all excited for the next generation of our family to get involved. In his 20s, my dad was a county extension agent. He's the one who encouraged me to get involved in 4-H at the tender age of 8 years old. I fondly remember that my first heifers' names were Apple Blossom and Sparkles. My first speech was about, I'm going to pronounce this wrong, limousine cattle. Okay. My first craft was a t-shirt that I sponge painted shapes onto. In my first livestock judging contest, I marked my scorecard wrong and I got a 0 on a class. On my first 4-H camping trip, my mom wrote me notes and slipped them into my suitcase. It's amazing that those firsts helped shape me into the person I am today and helped me develop the life skills that I would later apply in college, in my marriage, on our ranch as a parent, and in my career. I don't think I appreciated all that I was learning until long past my time in 4-H, and my decade spent as a 4-H member was definitely 10 years well spent. 4-H is more than chasing banners and ribbons, as beef intern Becky Church wrote in the week's editor's blog. I've read that. That's really good.
It is good. Very
Yep.
good.
It's about developing youth and teaching them what 4-H really means. I doubt I could ever forget the 4-H pledge recited at my club's monthly meetings. I pledge my head to clear thinking, my heart to greater loyalty, my hands to larger service, and my health to better living for my club, my community, my country, and my world. I think any person would be hard-pressed to find another program that instills such important life lessons at such an early age and helps develop adults who will make a difference in their communities, personally and professionally. This week, I salute all of my fellow 4-H members, both current and retired. No matter where life takes you, 4-H lessons can be used to become a better person and a stronger leader. And again, that is written by Amanda Radke. So I thought it was very neat.
Yes, that is very neat.
Yep. So, but we'll wait for an answer here as Vanessa visits with us
So
to our trivia question.
We're looking for the comic strip author.
Right. Who was
That was in 4-H. That was a 4-H member.
Yep. And he hit one of his famous, actually there was 2 animals, right? In his comic strip?
Yes,
Okay.
there's 2 animals, yes.
Okay. And typically these animals would not get along.
Yes.
So we're giving good hints. And so if you have the answer, you can sure call us and let us know. We'll have another 4-H prize for you.
Yes. We've been doing a lot of good talking about 4-H, but we haven't told anybody how to join.
Oh, that's really important.
I know.
So, well, there's over 6 million youth in 4-H in the United States, and in North Dakota, there's over 6,000 4-H youth in that participate in 4-H program. And to join 4-H, you need to contact your local county extension office, and Vanessa or Jackie or myself would be happy to visit with you if you're a member in Morton County or like to join Morton County. You can call our office at 667-3340, and we would love to come out and visit your clubs or visit with you on the phone about opportunities in 4-H and becoming a future leader. So.
And you don't have to know about a club. Just call us and we'll get you hooked up. Or if you want to start your own club, that would be awesome too.
Yep, perfect.
And then the Burley County, if there's any Burley County
yes.
listeners, their number is 221-6865.
Yep.
And it's Amelia, right?
Yes, she's
the
brand new.
Is the
Yes.
brand new 4-H agent over there.
Yep.
And I'm sure you can talk to Tyler or to Chandra, and they would be able to help you as well.
Yep, perfect. So.
We just want everybody to be in 4-H.
Yes, it's very fun. We don't care what county you belong to, as long as you're involved in the program. We want to get you started and have that opportunity to work with a caring adult and have a mentor and learn some life skills and really just develop your leadership and communication skills. So.
And I have to tell a story on my daughter who
Yes.
just graduated from high school. She said, Mom, thank you so much for 4-H.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that says it all.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, and she was very thankful. She gave us little thank you notes as she kind of graduated out of 4-H, and you could tell it made an impact on her life. So, very nice.
Okay. So now shifting into some programs that we have coming up in November.
Okay, there you go.
I have Dining with Diabetes, which I know we've talked about before, but I do want to make sure that people are aware of this. We don't hold this class very often. In fact, this may be the last time that we hold this class. We might be shifting to something a little bit different. And so if you have been diagnosed with diabetes or somebody in your family, I really encourage you to try and attend. It is a 4-session series in which we focus on meal planning, on giving you some ideas for healthy cooking. We do some demonstrations and definitely have opportunities to try new foods, try things that will fit better into your diabetic diet. It's an opportunity to visit with dietitians. Diabetic counselors will also be on hand, and so it's really a chance to get a lot of attention, and individual questions can be answered about you and how you're able to work with your disease. And so this is a class where we encourage not only the person who's been diagnosed, but also the any supporter, person who is a spouse or a friend, or sometimes we've had mother-daughter, those kinds of combinations come, but please come with somebody who can help support you in that process. There is a cost for the program that covers the materials and then also a meal at each of the sessions. And that's $25 and then an additional $10 if you do bring somebody with you. And you don't have to bring somebody with you, but it's just nice to have somebody else who hears the same thing and who can support you in your fight against diabetes. So if you're interested in this class, we're offering it in the month of November, and it will be held in Mandan at First Lutheran Church. And so if you can give us a call at our office, we can get you hooked up and get you registered at 667-3340. And that would be a good opportunity for you. Also in November is Brain Health and Alzheimer's Awareness Month. And so during that month, we're offering a series of informational sessions that will be held each Monday of November. And they'll be each held from 1 o'clock, 1 to 2. They're all free. The first month or the first week, we'll be talking about just understanding memory loss in general. And you don't have to be, you don't have to have memory loss in order to come. This is really something where we want you to learn about it, so that if you recognize that there might be some symptoms in someone that you know, that you get a better idea about what memory loss is all about, and that a lot of times there are things that connected with memory loss that are not a permanent difficulty. Sometimes we are taking medications that can cause us to have trouble with our memory, and it's good to recognize that so that we can visit with our physicians and possibly have changes made in our prescriptions.
And it's sometimes really frustrating. I'll go to the basement and I forget what I went down there for.
Yes, and it's good to learn about memory loss because that is normal.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times we forget where we put our keys, or we go into a room, like you said, and we forget why we went in there. And this class will help us understand how that is normal. And we don't need to be concerned and worried that we have dementia, because they're different. And so we'll talk about that. And so that will be important for folks. The second week, we're going to be talking about caregivers and those who care for families, and it can be related to brain health, but it can be any caregiver. The third week, we'll be visiting with some doctors that can give us some more specific information about medications, about specifically what's going on with your brain, and answer some really tough questions for you. And then the fourth week, I'm going to be the speaker, and we'll be talking about nourishing your brain, so the things that we can eat to keep our brain healthy. And we will be serving a lunch at that session. That will be, again, it's included in the session. You just need to make sure you register ahead of time. And so in order to register, you can call 751-3050. And we really want as many folks to come as we can, and encourage you to call and register. And if you didn't get that number, just call us at the office and I can get you connected with that. And it is time for another break.
Right now, 46.
Our own radio station. Not Fargo, not the Twin Cities. Proud to be Bismarck and Mandan's own Super Talk 1270.
Welcome back to the Extension Connection, and we're once again waiting for an answer for our trivia question, which is, Carla?
What comic strip author was a famous 4-H member, and he had 2 animals in his comic strip? And
one of them, their favorite food was lasagna.
Oh, that's a good hint. I like that one. So
People must know now, they're just being shy.
there you go.
And Vanessa, there's a little chill in the air.
Yes.
Every morning I had frost on my windshield this morning, and so the slow cooker is a big thing that I use a lot in the wintertime as well.
So the coolness, the fall, and all those kinds of things made me think about slow cookers. And we do have a wonderful publication that you can find online. So if you go to our extension website and just do a quick search for slow cooker, it'll come up right away with lots of good tips and hints. And so for anybody who hasn't used a slow cooker, the one thing to remember is that it is one of those things that doesn't cause us to have a lot of equipment used in preparation, so it's easy cleanup. You don't have to be there when a lot of the cooking is happening, so you can put things in the morning and set it and forget it, those kinds of things. It's also that wonderful aroma as you open the door of your house after a long, hard day at work, and you're hit with that wonderful smell of your what's ever cooking in your slow cooker, and you don't have to answer that question or wonder about the answer to that question of what's for dinner. That's the best thing. Some things you need to think about with using a slow cooker is that a lot of times because we're using a lower temperature in a slow cooker, you can use also less expensive cuts of meat because you're using a moist type of slow cooking, and that allows those less tender cuts to be able to become more tender and become a cost savings also in making whatever it is, whether it's a soup or a stew or a casserole. A couple tips to keep in mind when you are putting things into the slow cooker is that you don't want it to be less than half full, and you don't want it to be more than 2/3 full. And I know sometimes that's hard, but that is because of, again, being able to heat it through and heat it in. Make sure that it gets done, and then also make sure that it doesn't scorch or burn in that process. So you have to make sure you have enough in there, but not too much. Also, using smaller pieces when we're talking about different cuts of meat, making sure that things aren't thicker than 1 inch or 1.5 inches. So things like chicken breasts are good choices. Not necessarily an entire roast would not be a good choice.
Come on.
I know. So you want to consider the thickness of the meat that you're putting in there, pork chops, those kinds of things that are have a thickness that is less than 1.5 inches will be a good choice to put into your slow cooker. Always make sure that those meats that you're putting in there have been thawed. Don't put them in frozen and then start the process, because that will keep them from getting done on the inside, and you want to make sure that they get cooked all the way through. You can also convert recipes that you already have and that you enjoy. You can convert them to a slow cooker. And so, for example, if the recipe says that it takes 35 to 45 minutes, for example, whether it's on the top of the stove or however you're cooking it, cooking it on low, it would probably take 6 to 10 hours, or cooking it on high would take about 3 to 4 hours. And so you can make some adjustments that way. Not everything can be moved into the slow cooker. You do want to make sure that you have enough liquid, because liquid is the piece that helps to ensure that you get enough heat distribution. The liquid is a benefit for that. The great cleanup is always a good piece of that too, and making sure that you put the meats in there in the proper order. If you are cooking vegetables, for example, if you're doing a stew, you'll want to put the vegetables in first, and then put the meat on top, just because that will allow you more time to get the vegetables done, because they take a little longer sometimes. But many times the recipes will call for, if you're using ground beef, you want to brown that ahead of time before putting it in. And our publication has lots of different recipes. Cowboy beans, which is a favorite that can be put in the slow cooker, a vegetable soup, a chicken curry, also an easy homemade spaghetti sauce, and then also a slow cooker taco soup. So these would be all good options for you if you're looking for something quick, if you don't have a lot of time to prepare food, but everybody comes home hungry, which that's the way it is at my house anyway. Mm-hmm. And even if you don't have anybody else coming home, it's nice not to have to stand over the stove, just to be able to put things together, turn your slow cooker on, and away you go. So if anybody, do you guys have any favorite things you like to put in slow cookers?
I like chili. I use chili.
Chili.
Chili in my
That's
slow
the
cooker.
way to cook chili. You got to cook it slow.
Yep, it is, because you get a chance to really meld all those flavors. Yeah. And the one thing to be aware of, though, and a lot of the recipes do call for beans, which are great to add to our diets. We don't eat enough beans. And many of the recipes call for canned beans. When you and you can use beans that you do need to pre-soak and do ahead of time. That's no problem. But just make sure that the recipe doesn't call for anything that has an acid in it. For example, vinegar or tomatoes or those kinds of things, because those will keep the beans from getting soft. And so when you're using a canned bean, you don't have to worry about that as much, because they're all ready to the point that they're ready to eat. So that isn't an issue. And I do know that some of the recipes in here do have acid-containing items. So if you tried to use your soaked beans, you might not be happy with the end result.
Carla, how about you? What's your favorite thing to cook in the slow cooker?
Do you want the real answer?
I know that you don't cook very often.
I don't cook. I don't cook. I'm a horrible cook. Let's see. What do I usually bring to slow cooker? I don't know. I really
There's
don't
lots
know.
of good dips and those kinds of things too that can be used for occasions.
Oh yeah, a buffalo chicken dip that I can make.
Oh, see? Okay.
We
See,
knew
I
you
can
could
do
do something.
something.
Yeah, we knew you'd come up with something, Carla.
Yep. All those good soups and those kinds of things. The other thing to keep in mind is that if you can, it's a good idea to have your slow cooker on high for the first hour and then be able to turn it down. And so if you are able to do that, that's a good step to take.
Okay, I like this heading.
Yes, I was
hear
also
more.
thinking about the microwave.
Okay.
And, a lot of times the microwave has been around. The microwave was one of those things that they didn't think was gonna stay. And it's been here since 1967. So, yes, it definitely has caught on. I think everybody has a microwave. In fact, they probably have more than one. So I have a quick trivia question for you about this, and I'll just ask the folks in the room here. You don't have to call in. So which of the following are safe containers for reheating food in a microwave oven? And you can tell me all of them that apply. The first one is a foam takeout tray. No. Where you take leftovers home. How about brown paper bags?
No.
Margarine tubs or glass bowls? Which ones are safe in the microwave?
Well, I know the glass bowl is.
Yeah, glass bowl. And actually, that's the only one.
Okay.
So, we get a lot of those recipes that circulate about making something in a brown paper bag. And, of course, we take home food from restaurants in those handy-dandy styrofoam containers.
That melts.
Yeah. Well, and that's exactly why it's not a good thing to reheat food in those. Those are just for storage, not for the reheating part. And then margarine tubs or Cool Whip containers or all those things, they had their initial purpose was to keep that food on the shelf and while you were using it. After that, you can use them for storage, but they were really meant to be used one time, and they definitely weren't meant to be cooked in. And the reason is with all of those things, the reason is because as they get heated, because they weren't intended for that use and they're not considered microwave safe, you can have particles that leach from that container into your food. And so that's what we're concerned about. So if those take-home foods, make sure that you put them on another plate or bowl that you normally would eat on and can use in the microwave, and then heat it that way.
And Carla, she's going to be watching us now.
I know. I'm
At
thinking
work.
I'm be paranoid.
As if you weren't already
I
paranoid.
know. I have the juice story still in my head. No, I'm just kidding.
That's for another day.
Yeah,
exactly.
Well, I try not to be the food police too
know.
often, but
But you just ruined it for me once in a while.
but it's hard because like the brown paper bag, there's every once in a while there'll be some different recipes that will be circulating about putting something in a brown paper bag and then cooking it in the microwave, and they just brown paper bags especially are made from recycled paper that can be anything. And, when you start thinking about that and then you start heating it, you definitely don't want your food next to that.
Well, I remember my mom, she would take and put buns in the brown paper bag, wet the bag, and put it in the oven. Mm-hmm. That was something that she did all the time when we were kids.
Yeah, and, actually when your mom did it, it probably wasn't as unsafe as it is now. Because then the brown paper bags were probably... you knew and it was the first time they'd been used. Now they're coming from so many different places that we really don't even know what all could be in that paper. So yes.
Well, to end our show, because we're getting the wrap-up sign, I do need to give the answer for the trivia question. So if I could do that, that'd be great.
Go ahead.
Okay, it's Jim Davis, the Garfield author. So
Yay!
there's your trivia for the day.
So if you knew the answer and you were too shy, you lost out.
Yep.